we'll get somebody like Mike to get on the board. That's our new candidate.
That's good. You say bears fake news.
Except I left off the road.
That's your new address.
Except I would have to move to the condo in order to, unless the rules were changed. As a business owner in the marina, I'm sure rules can be, rules are made to massage
Well, perhaps as
and be progressive in thought about what we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, we got a quorum.
No, we don't. Oh, we do. You're here.
Yes,
Yay.
terrific.
You're here. Yeah.
We wasted more work at this time. All right,
Yeah.
I told Jim I'd pick you
That's
up
the-
at 10. So, whenever we're out of here.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm there till lunchtime.
Matt. Carlo. Law.
Good morning, man.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Hey, good morning. Good to see you.
Thank you. Oh, hope things are right. You had some kind of emergency for the last minute. Was that-
Well, my wife's got Alzheimer's,
Oh,
and it's a different story. Just,
you know, my ex runs the PTAC memory disorder
oh boy.
next door, so I know way more about it than besides going through it with her mother. And
It is not something I've ever experienced
I didn't know
before.
anything about working these.
Say it again.
she had great
I just
success
put my
with her
hand
mother.
under my
Neurofeedback.
screen and it went
Excellent,
out.
thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're in some very
There's
extent,
like
I
a
know.
bunch of I know. Good timing.
Is everyone gonna be here today?
So, everybody
Well-
can.
There's 500 buttons under there. I just want to get there.
When we get to board members, I'm doing a Shakespeare play.
I'll go, just tell me.
I know what this. Better didn't hit that side. Oh, well. Wanna sit here?
Technical, see, yeah, something wants to come
Oh.
out.
If I could shut it off and turn it back on. I'm sorry, I have two technical
Technical
issues.
difficulties.
Yeah, real difficulties. We'll be going in a minute.
So where do we get the tickets?
Tarponarts.org.
Oh, okay.
Put that on there.
Greatest hits.
We had to make our own.
That's a great title. Greatest hits.
They're so supportive, we had to make these ourselves.
Okay, it sounds fair.
I put
Just as, I'll pass it
this
here.
thing on the way. Yeah, it'll just take a second. I gotta get this light in. It's so sticky, it only wants to be open.
These are, what do you want?
I'm on both weekends. I'm doing
Yeah, we'll be.
Duke of Burgundy
one more second.
and Rub from King Lear and Robin Puck from Midsummer Night's Dream, and I'm doing King Leontis from Winter's Tale and Robin Puck.
Okay, and phone number?
Okay, I'm sorry for the delay. I'm back up.
Oh, well.
back up and running.
That's all right. Let's get to work.
They moved this from,
Ready? Good. Gotta go. I'm calling the meeting to order. It's now, we have a quorum. It is now 8, correct? All right. Everybody has reviewed the minutes.
yes.
All right, do I hear a proposal? They be approved?
Minutes should be approved.
Good.
Second?
Done. All in favor? Aye. All right. Citizens to be heard on the, regarding items not on the agenda. Yep.
That's our captain for our next presentation, I think. So
All right, we're,
what's the captain here?
not this? Do you have something, sir?
Well, am I on
He's
agenda?
Yeah.
the next speaker,
Yeah,
he's
he's
not a
the next
citizen
agenda.
to be
Oh,
heard.
he's the next agenda item.
These new electronic.
Well, I can think of something to say.
He's had 3 months to think about it. He was here at the last
Oh,
meeting
I
and
was-
couldn't do his presentation because there weren't enough of us.
Oh, okay. Well, is he going to start now?
Okay.
Come up, do your presentation,
We're ready,
please.
Mike. We're ready.
Your
for you.
item, yep.
Thank you, folks, thank you. Good morning. Does everyone have a handout like this?
No.
I reviewed it online.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, there was a link to it with the minutes.
It was part of the agenda.
Okay.
So I have extra if anybody doesn't want to read along.
It's interesting
Yeah.
stuff.
I just probably.
I mean, y'all could,
I have
maybe
one
you could
extra.
share
Here,
an
I'll
item.
I'll just
we'll
share
share that
with,
Here, I have one extra.
All right,
thank
that
you.
too. There we go.
You guys wanna share one?
Oh,
Oh, you guys, oh, look at this, he's got everything.
Library of Congress?
this guy's prepared.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's go over yours. Hey,
Well, my name's Mike Colby. I'm a charter head boat operator in the marina, also president of the loosely knit Clearwater Marine Association. And I'm also the regional coordinator for a voluntary electronic logbook project in the Eastern Gulf. So I coordinate efforts from Panama City to Key West. We are in our 3rd year of this voluntary data collection program called ELB, the electronic logbook. And our 3rd year is ending in November, and right about on time because the National Marine Fisheries Service will make this mandatory for all federally permitted charter boats. Will not involve state guide boats, which are charter captains that are not federally permitted and are restricted to fishing within Florida state waters. That would mean out to 9 miles or closer. And that includes a lot of your flats guides and folks like that. So this will affect only a small group of charter captains. Well, in the Gulf, there's 1,200 federal permits. Clearwater has 22 federal permitted operators. Pinellas County, believe it or not, has almost 73 federal permits. There's quite a lot of federally permitted fishing opportunities in Pinellas County. So the project was put together 4 years ago by myself, some like-minded fishermen. We met with Florida, Texas, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi. We all had 3-day technical meetings over in Tampa and put together this project, outlined the platform for it, what we wanted to achieve. And this has also been, on an interesting note, was proffered really through myself and the efforts of Mayor Creticus. Some years back, the mayor, upon my request, we sat down and crafted a letter that he personally signed from his office to the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council. And that letter showed support for his Clearwater fleet for a sustainable fishery and the support for sector allocation, which at that time, 7 years ago, really involved red snapper, which has led to a really big success for us. So the idea of the mayor and the city of Clearwater supporting a sustainable fishery, Clearwater was out in front. I mean, I was really impressed. It wasn't until months and months later that Destin, the mayor of Destin, got nervous and said, well, maybe we ought to show support like that. So Clearwater was actually really in the forefront of supporting their fleet and for improved, enhanced data collection and fisheries opportunities for all the visitors that come to the state. So here we go. We've got this electronic logbook project on your page 1. The goal obviously was to improve charter for hire data collection in the Gulf of Mexico. It was sorely overdue for some kind of enhanced data collection for fishery dependent data, which is data that comes from the fishermen. The goal then for the next 3 bullet points was to go from paper reporting to electronic logbooks. I mean, we have the technology, and the electronic logbook looks just like a little iPad, and it's carried upon the boat and is used to report your catch, your live discards, and your dead discards. This obviously reduces uncertainty in what the government is collecting as information to assess stock abundance. So this was a big leap forward, and it produces calibration of voluntary validated data. The validation part I'll get to in a minute. And then the biggest bullet here is trip level catch and effort database. So right now the way fisheries data is collected on a charter boat, even if it's state guide boat or federally permitted charter boat, is through a periodic phone call. What did you do the week of so-and-so and so-and-so? Without regard to week so-and-so and so-and-so. So you can see in 1 week in June, I may have run 5 fishing trips. The following week, I didn't do any. But they call me the following week and I have nothing to report. So we're not capturing all of that information that's lost. So this catch and effort database really gets enhanced quickly because you're reporting at the trip level every trip. And then of course this augments the acronym MRIP is the data collection program that all of us follow. Recreational anglers, state guide boats, and federally permitted charter boats. Marine Recreational Information Programs. Been around a lot of years. MRIP. You'll hear me say that a few times. Now on the second page, the structure of this project, again, is voluntary participation with a VMS. And a VMS is Vessel Monitoring System. And what the government is working on now, the National Marine Fisheries Service, is they're going to allow fishermen to choose if they want a satellite platform or if they want a cellular-based platform. So you can decide. But either way, there will be an encoder in here somewhere in your cellular device that monitors the vessel 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's pinged once an hour, and I'll show you a map of it on the next page. The reporting under monitoring, or what we call location tracking, is part of the validation process. When they call you on the phone, they don't know if you went fishing. They don't know. And that's part of when you look at algorithms that decide how many fish we have. Catch per unit of effort, CPUE. It's very important. If you don't know what the unit of effort is, the bias that you build into your numbers is a mile wide. So the location tracking is not about, we want to know where you're fishing. We just want to know if you went fishing. Don't lie to us. Fishermen lie. Yeah, they do. So the VMS, the location tracking, is an important part of this. And of course, the structure is validated trip reporting. For the purposes of our project, we had no hail out or hail in. Under the mandatory to do this next year, there will be a hail out and a hail in. You just pick up your phone and hit I'm going fishing and you turn it off. So it's not overly cumbersome to the fishermen. And the structure is to calibrate our Marine Record Information Program state data. Remember, the feds don't collect the data. The state of Florida does. They calibrate it and send it to the National Marine Fisheries Service. So there's a cooperative effort there. You'll never see a fed at a boat ramp collecting fisheries data. It's always our FWC that does that. The capture-recapture approach that you're seeing in there is the basis of this project. The fisherman captures the data while his customers are fishing. The recapture happens at the dock when he gets in and he hits send, and all of his data on what he's caught, what's in his kill box, and what they estimate that they threw back alive and throw back dead, and with the certainty of a dockside intercept. That's the recapture approach. And of course, participant equity and reward is pretty simple for us. All the states like the idea that the reward in this is a sustainable fishery, because without that, any of the other tenets that we do in the Gulf don't matter. You've got to have a sustainable fishery, you're not going to have any fish. Now, the next page shows a map of what this location tracking looks like. This is a guy that came out of Fort Walton Beach, and every little diamond arrow that you see is where the satellite pinged the vessel. It's once an hour. Now, we had the option of every 2 hours, or some guys wanted it every 30 minutes. Now, the government's going to say in the mandatory version, once an hour is fine. That's all we do for commercial fishermen, once an hour. So in between every diamond, you don't know where that boat was. And you may not even be pinging him where he's fishing. He may be in transit. So the location tracking is not meant as some way to gather information so we can not see where's that guy fishing? Boy, I haven't caught a fish in months. I think I'll go there. The idea behind the location tracking is this guy actually went fishing and he came home. So that is verified, validated data. I don't have to take the fisherman's word for it that he actually had a fishing trip. There it is. Yeah, I threw in this next page on reporting frequency because as a biologist myself, I found this really interesting. This was the very beginning, it's the graph you'll see, this was the very beginning of our project 3 years ago, September of 2016. And we had 120 vessels immediately signed up. It's now close to 400 that are in this voluntary program. But what's interesting is, if you'll notice, when we started, the number of reports were low, only about 10. If you look at the bottom of the graph, you'll see number of reports, 10, number of vessels. Almost every vessel started reporting immediately. And then it kind of drifted down, but as red snapper season opened, the next big spike says 70 reports for almost 100 vessels. So what was really interesting, this was voluntary. So I can't demand that everybody remember to report. A lot of this had to do with, in the beginning of the project, most of these fishermen had not worked this in to their daily exercise. You get to the boat, you ice, you fuel, you get your boat ready, you load your customers, you're busy, you take off. Okay, we get that. And part of the challenge that the National Marine Fisheries Service is going to have is getting fishermen to work reporting their catch into their everyday routine. And this reporting frequency really kind of mirrors the problems we faced in the beginning of this project in 2016. But as you notice, where the number of reports were the highest, 150, there were fewer vessels reporting, maybe less than 30 out of the first 120. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you we either have a whole lot of part-time fishermen or most of our guys just forgot to do it. So we were kind of left with a few more questions than answers. But I thought this would be kind of interesting because there is no silver bullet. I mean, fishermen will have to work themselves into this daily process of reporting what, and I do it on the way in. It's pretty easy for me. I've got a deckhand. I just put him on the wheel and I go down to the cabin and sit with my customers. Turn the tablet on. The kids love it. Mom and dad love it. The kids are learning science. We go through the whole report. How many hours did we fish? Hey, how many Spanish mackerel do we have? And the kids go, well, it's fun for them. And because then you see what you're doing here is you're bringing the recreational fishermen into a science-based objective. You're making them feel like they're part of the fishery. Now, the last 2 pages are really interesting. Top 5 species of fish in 2016. This is really interesting. Look at red snapper. Those first boats caught 34,824 red snapper out of those reporting in 2016. They released alive 37,000 some odd, 600. So that tells you there are a lot of undersized red snapper back in 2016. Or it may tell a fishery manager, gosh, maybe they're high grading. They're intentionally throwing back maybe 23 or 24 inch red snapper, hoping to catch the 30 or 35 inch red snapper. So these are questions that data collection like this bring up, is what is the attitude of the fishermen and why are we seeing numbers like that? Now look at our iconic fish here, the red grouper. 3,788 were kept in 2016 by those boats reporting. 19,328 were released alive. Anybody that's red grouper fished in the Eastern Gulf will tell you right away, man, I just keep catching these pollywogs. I keep catching 18-inch red groupers. You've heard it. Anybody who fishes has heard that. This kind of supports that notion that we don't high grade grouper. They're too hard to catch. Snapper are easy to catch. They're a voracious feeding fish. You find them, you'll probably get them to bite on a pork chop. Red groupers and gag groupers, a little different. So we don't have a high grading problem. Oh, here's a 20-inch red grouper. I'm going to throw them back because I know in 10 minutes I'll catch a 25-incher. That doesn't happen in the Eastern Gulf. Now look at the last page, 2017. Very interesting again. Red snapper kept. We had more boats reporting. Everybody was getting into the swing of things. 59,561 individual red snapper caught with 72,000. So that number grew a bit as your live discard. And then of course there's dead discards. There was 4,000 reported dead thrown back. But look at our friend red grouper. It stayed, proportionately, it stayed about the same. 5,900 caught, almost 24,000 throwbacks out of the boats reporting. So there's some similarity. The numbers rose, but the proportion is pretty close to the same. So this is what you get, the kind of data input that you get from trip level reporting. This is the stuff that fishery managers, this is the altar that they worship at, that they've never been able to worship at, because we've never had a system where we can actually look at a daily trip effort. So I think, and again, I understand the advisory board here is tasked with keeping council and mayor's office appraised of certain things going on. So if and when the time comes, if Mayor Credica's, this is his update as well as it is an infomercial and a getting to know you for you guys. But this is essentially an update for the mayor to tell him that this is going to be mandatory next year. His efforts, his letter, his support have all come to fruition in this. Thank you.
I have a question. Okay.
Go ahead.
What about the inclusion of the weight of the average fish caught in the data? Would that be helpful?
Well, it is. And the way that is garnered is through a dockside intercept.
Oh, I see.
Now, right now, here's where public dollars are going to come in. This is where I've made more trips to Washington, D.C. in the last 5 years, pounding on House and Senate doors. I've talked with the House Appropriations folks, Jim Culberson, his group, he's now gone, other people are in charge. But we need the money to ramp up dockside intercepts. Right now, for Florida's recreational angler, including charter for hire, our dockside intercepts are right around maybe 17%. And really to lend a lot of credence to capture, recapture, and weigh the fish that the fisherman is throwing out is to up that number of intercepts. Now Florida has, for those of you that fish, Florida has an offshore permit, a license that you download and you fish with. So what Florida FWC has done, they've created a lexicon or a phone book of likely fishermen, where MRIP in the beginning targeted anybody in the state. It was just a broad phone. You might get somebody sitting on their sofa that crappie fishes in Polk County, and that doesn't do us any good. So Florida took a step and built this phone book of likely fishermen to target offshore reef fish species. So they call that group. So what they've done is they've now narrowed the field a bit, but still without a dockside intercept, you only have half the equation of catch per unit of effort. You only have half the equation. But you got to applaud Florida. I mean, they're narrowing the field and they're putting their best foot forward on it. But you're right, sir. Weight gives us critical information on age class structure, year class, cohorts of fish moving in and out. I mean, to have an intercept every time a charter boat came back to the marina, I guarantee you in 3 years you would see your fishing opportunities expand because we're not overfishing anymore. That's the whole idea behind this. Don't overfish. If you don't overfish, guess what happens? Your stock abundance grows. Your year classes spread out. They're easier to track. You know how many breeders you have, how many juveniles, where the larval fish, the possibilities of their survival are. So you hit the nail on the head, actually, sir, is that the weight does play an important role. We're not going to ask the fisherman to weigh his fish. I mean, that's onerous. I can't do that. We didn't suggest it on the voluntary program, and it's not being suggested on the mandatory directive to report next year.
You had a question.
You said it's for federal licensed people. Is there an opt-in for people that carry a state fishing license like that? They can
Not
willingly
the moratorium on federal fishing permits for charter boats was put in place in 2003. If you did not apply to the National Marine Fisheries Service for a federal permit as a charter operator, then the only way to get one now is for me to say, boy, I'm sick of fishing. I'm going to sell my business. I'll sell you my permit. And that's how a new entrant comes in. Now, there are latent permits out there right now. Out of 1,200 federal permits, there's probably about 150 of them that are not fishing at all. They're stuck on a John boat somewhere. The permit is affixed to a John boat. And I believe the Gulf Council is getting a little fed up with that. You know, either fish the permit or give it to somebody, sell it to somebody that wants to fish. You know, I mean, because the idea behind commerce is commerce. Get people fishing, provide fishing opportunities. Don't sit on a permit when some other guy would like to be a charter boat captain and chart his course for the future. Let him fish. That's the whole idea behind a lot of this narrative.
So if you're not a federal, as far as the reporting system, can you still join this
No.
effort?
If you are a state guide boat, like an inshore guide, or even a guy who runs out along the beach and catches king mackerel in a charter environment, he is still going to be reporting under the old MRIP system, the Marine Recreation. Nothing changes for him. His reporting is the same as your reporting as a private recreational angler. The data collection makes no difference between a private angler and a state charter captain. They're all the same when it comes to regulations and reporting for MRIP.
Have any
How
more?
do you do the reporting, though? It's uploaded, is it quarterly, monthly? I mean,
On the electronic logbook?
Yeah.
Oh, no, see, with the,
Daily?
yeah, you know, and that's a good point. I mean, I took a little bit for granted here, but if you were to look at my boat right now, I've got a little egg like a kid's football mounted on top of the boat. It's a satellite antenna. It goes down to a little small junction box, like a box of kitchen matches, in the bathroom of the boat. My tablet that I have, it's a little bit bigger than this, I just bring it on board with me. When I turn it on, it Wi-Fi connects to that junction box. So now my tablet has a connection to the Iridium satellite network. It's an old military network. There's about 65 satellites that crisscross. Iridium is still used somewhat by the military, I think, but it's mostly now usage like this. So whenever I tell the tablet to do anything, it is just immediate transfer. The benefit of using a satellite VMS platform for location tracking and reporting of your catch is that it is a direct password protected link to one satellite right to the National Marine Fisheries Service. The guys that are going to use their cell phones to report will have their sensitive data their position data and their catch data wandering around in AT&T's cellular towers.
Right.
And now, I mean, everyone's familiar with how cellular networks can corrupt data. It can reconfigure data sometimes. So I told fishermen, I said, okay, look, I'm an advocate for satellite VMS because of its safety for the fishermen. But you pick what you want to pick. You just tell me what level of risk are you willing to have your data floating around in a cell tower. So that data goes from Google Earth to a cell tower, to another cell tower, to the D base in St. Petersburg, Florida. That's where National Marine Fishery Service is. So tell me, what pathway do you think is A, more reliable, and B, a safer conduit for your information? You decide. You folks decide.
What data supports that there's overfishing?
The data, well, right now, there is no species of fish, since Bush signed the 2006 Magnuson-Stevens Act reauthorization, 37 fisheries have been rebuilt under that new guideline. And right now, we are not fishing any species for us in the Eastern Gulf that are overfished. Some species, are like red grouper, could be facing overfishing. Now, there may be some nuance here, but to a fishery manager or fishery science, there's a distinct difference between a fish that may be experiencing overfishing, but is not overfished. What that means is, according to the catch per unit effort, we're seeing effort rise a bit and catch drop. So that's when they start kind of zeroing in on red grouper. Well, we don't want it in terms of stock abundance to get to a point that's overfished. We don't want that. So let's put in place some accountability measures in the fishery. And it may be compressing the season a bit. And we did it with red grouper 3 years ago. We took the bag limit from 3 to 2. Not many charter guys complained about that. 12 red grouper for a group of 6, that was fine. Then you go out and target something else. But that, I mean, your question is well taken maybe 15 years ago. Because right now we're not seeing a situation where we have large groups of fish that that we can say are overfished. Gag grouper is in a rebuilding plan. It's got about 3 or 4 more years to go. It has been experiencing overfishing, but in terms of the latest independent surveys that NOAA does, where they try to count fish, gag grouper stock abundance is still at a level that is not considered overfished. If it was considered overfished, you wouldn't have a season. Commercial or recreational, it's gone. So thankfully, it was MSA, it was the reauthorization of the Magnuson-Stevens Fishery Management Conservation Act that put certain measures in place to not necessarily prevent overfishing, but to prevent a species from becoming overfished. And we've been very successful at that.
So this plan is to
Augment, enhance all of the data that we collect to make sure that we never overfish. Now your catch per unit effort is far more easier to determine because you've got trip level reporting. You have guys reporting every trip. Again, I go back to that example where they would call me the week of June the 10th, I didn't fish. But if you'd have called me the week of June the 3rd, I had 4 trips. You missed them. Now you're going to tell me you're going to go out and you're going to assess, estimate stock abundance and harvest based on that.
So this is an extra layer to prevent something that's not happening right now.
That's correct. That's exactly right. It has to happen. We've already experienced overfished fish stocks because we did not have an accurate database to go for. I mean, fishery managers are not Jesus. I mean, the Science Center in Miami, the Gulf Council, you give them information and there it is. They have to make heads or tails of it. What's going on in that fishery? So, you know, the idea behind the tenet of a sustainable fishery is putting mechanisms in place so we don't overfish. And on a fish right now that isn't overfished with a system like this, guess what happens in year 2, year 3?
So this is to grow stuff
They grow.
rather than to prevent overfishing.
Sir?
This is to grow stock rather than to prevent overfishing.
Well, no, at the same time, it'll prevent overfishing, because remember.
But we don't have that
Well,
now.
we still fish with a limit. We have a daily bag limit, and we have a
So
size
we don't
limit.
have overfishing now.
Well, now, some species might be experiencing overfishing, but they're not overfished. So with this program, we add certainty to the information that everyone is staying within their limits in the season. Nobody is catching more than what they should catch, and based on what the last stock abundance report showed. So this is kind of it's kind of like cleaning your rain gutters out before it rains, if you kind of want to look at it that way. And I have not talked with a fishery scientist or manager from Texas Parks and Wildlife, Louisiana Creole, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida that has not said, boy, you guys are way overdue doing this. Because we don't have the right data. I mean, try as we may, we don't have enough information to tell you exactly. I think your season could be 4 months long or 8 months long. It's a toss-up. And so a lot of fishermen say, well, we're tired of that. Think about what that does to my business. How can I book fishing trips with the uncertainty of not knowing if one year, I may have a compressed season, whereas the year before it was a little bigger. I need certainty in what that fish stock is doing to offer fishing opportunities for my customers. Because it really is all about the private angler who fishes on my boat. They don't own boats. They come down from Indiana or Michigan or New York. They don't own a boat. They get on our boats in Clearwater to go have a recreational fishing opportunity. And the more we can do to enhance and increase those opportunities is the pathway that we need to take.
Very good. Do we have any more?
Excellent.
Thank you so
Oh,
very
thank
much.
you.
Excellent presentation.
All right, let us move on to the wave attenuator, if we may.
Yeah, these next two updates, I guess I'll call them, everybody knows what the wave attenuator project was and is, and the wave attenuator has been successfully installed. The problem and the reason for this update is the fishing pier component. You know, that wave attenuator also is a fishing pier second. So when at the time that the wave attenuator was completed at the end of May, we had the gangway that was all part of the project, pre-designed, built. Went to put it into place, it didn't fit. There was a manufacturer flaw to the connection points. You know, from the two floating structures, it was a kind of a complicated connection point, but it didn't fit. So they couldn't install it that day. They had to pause, figure out where the problem is. Was it a design flaw? Was it a manufacturer flaw? Fabrication flaw? Et cetera, et cetera. So that's fine. We'll deal with that. So during the next couple of weeks after that, the vendor that was responsible for that went Chapter 11. Perfect timing, right? So that kind of threw a wrench in everything. So then we have to, take a pause and figure out, okay, what are we going to do? What does this mean? Is it a reorganization? The group that we were working with, everybody was let go. So all my field people, the guys that were working in the field, they were no longer with the company. The company was taken over by a European arm of the firm. So that took about a month, and then once they finally stabilized, and this was a St. Petersburg dock group that was building these things. Once the company kind of reorganized, brought somebody new in from Finland, was the parent company, they started to, okay, well, what happened here? Whose problem was it? They don't want to just jump in and assume it was their fault to fix this thing, but they wanted to make the city whole, which was the good thing. So 2 months now have passed, and we're still trying to decide how we're going to get this thing reinstalled. So I have the option of working at a snail's pace with the contractor trying to, in good faith, get this thing fixed, because we have an investment in it now, or do I just start at the drawing board, build a new one, and then try to take him to court afterwards and get in line with everybody else, how that goes. So we decided that we would work because they were willing to make good on the original contract deal. So that said, we're 3 months after the thing should have been installed. The fishing pier should have been opened all summer. It's not, and I have fishermen that are not happy about it. And I've explained to the ones that I've talked to, just as I'm explaining to you, why we are where we are. So this week I talked to the dock builder, and they are going to be bringing a barge over. They've got preliminary calculations that they've done to fix the connection points. It's a fabrication problem. They can salvage this $25,000 gangway and reposition the fittings to do that. But they have to put it into place to make sure before they refabricate it that their calculations are correct. So that's what we're waiting on. I talked to them on Monday, and they've got to lift this thing, so they've got to get a big enough barge to lift it into place just for an hour or whatever it's going to take for final measurements, put it back on the dock, and not back on the dock, put it on the barge, take it in, fix it, and bring it back. So that's where we are. If any of you are hearing problems about the fishing pier, why it's not installed, it was all said and done. I had to send my contractors home because they couldn't install something that wouldn't fit or hang around for this 3-month period while somebody decided whose fault it was, who was going to fix it, who's going to pay for it. So hopefully, long story short, I think there's finally light at the end of the tunnel. There's always been a flicker of light, but now I'm finally seeing some movement to get this fishing pier open. And I explained to the folks that are used to having it, they miss it. It's been gone for 2 years, and they still can't believe that this project even took 2 years to fix. But that's another problem with contracting in an economy like ours. And for small projects, marine projects, we couldn't get anybody interested in installing the wave attenuator for over a year. 3 contracts we went through because there were bigger projects, and the type of equipment that we needed to reinstall those deep piles were working on bridge projects and other marina projects and couldn't get to Clearwater. I took a small window of opportunity to get that big barge in here while they were doing another project in the area, which was the only way contractor 3 was able to install that. Unfortunately, we had that installed before the hurricane season, which was our #1 priority, and now it's just to finish up with this fishing pier. So I wanted to share that with everybody. It's frustrating to Mike and I and to the fishermen and women that use that pier. That's that. And then yesterday we just had an update for the Seminole Boat Ramp project. That project is on schedule. By contract, they have till just the first of the year to be complete. I'm hearing that things are moving along quickly. That will likely have some grand opening probably by the end of the year. It's finally to the point where people are able to use it. And one of the challenges with that project is, and I think I mentioned this before, when the city has a project, we release the site to the contractor. So that's part of the contract. They control the site. We don't dictate means or measures when somebody's building something for us or repairing something for us. We can't get involved in that. The thing what we asked this group was, can we keep the ramps open during construction? And that's a liability on the contractor because you have all these users in there now. And it was really difficult in the beginning, especially when the lot was tore up. There was no striping, there were no parking meters, there were no lights, there was no water, but we still managed to keep the ramps open, and the people were very happy about that. They were, sometimes there were parking wars, if you will, because people were parking, creating rows, and it didn't fit, and another trailer would come in. We had people that were locked in to spots and had to wait for somebody to come out. We had people parking on private property up the hill and into the neighborhoods, and but we're past all that. 4th of July was the peak of those problems, and now for Labor Day we had managed to We had that big rain spell there that put us behind schedule, but they got all of the paving done in those lots, and now they're striped. So at least you can park in there. So the next phase of the project is they're gonna revamp the way that the parking works. You know, that's gonna become a city parking lot, just not a boat parking lot. What I mean by a city parking lot is it's gonna be managed by the parking system. Before, it was just kind of a parking meters and a ramp. That's gonna be a more sophisticated parking setup with Park Mobile. It's gonna be license plate recognition, and it's gonna be part of the whole beach and downtown parking grid. So it's gonna be easier to manage, easier to enforce. So things are moving forward there. The project really is 3 phases. This is phase 1. Phase 2 will be the restroom facility, which will come in right behind this contractor. All of the utilities, water, sewer, electric for the new restroom are in. So the restroom will just come and be built on everything is set for it, but there'll be a separate contract. And then the floating dock component will be the final piece. And there's been a little bit of a delay there because of some submerged land lease permits and ownership. So we're working through that. That's the easiest of the 3 projects. I always thought that would be done with phase 1, but we have a submerged land lease issue that we're working with through legal. It's not an issue we can't resolve. It's just whenever you have those types of issues where you have to involve the state, private owner, submerged lands, it just takes a long time. So that's moving forward.
Are all 3 phases of 2019 end target, or just the first phase, 2019
The
end?
first phase is a 2019 end target. The second phases will be early 20. The restroom will come right behind the construction phase. And that'll be a pretty basic project, that one too.
Not really a question, but I was in a class over in Tampa when they did the groundbreaking down there. So I was able to get in my stead a couple members of the Francis Wilson Playhouse board. They actually got to do the shovels, and they were quite thrilled to be involved in it, that somebody gave them a heads up. So Kirk Golick was there, and I'm not going to be able to think of the other guy's name. He builds all the sets there, damn it. But they were, just to give you some feedback from them, they were so thrilled to be let known about it and be able to attend, and they got pictures of themselves with their gold shovels and stuff. So
Was it Andrew?
Andrew,
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
He's been very active and vocal in the whole thing. And the Playhouse has been there for a long time, and they've enjoyed parking along the water
Right.
parking lot there. So we will go with a parking agreement with them. That's something that's going to be in the works. Oddly, the Playhouse, has a land lease for their theater, but their theater doesn't have any parking associated.
Technically, no, right, yes.
So, and that's been like that for many years. So this project will bring parking up the hill, and it'll kind of, our focus likely was to put the Playhouse agreement up in that smaller lot that's just vehicle parking, and take them out of the mix with competing with trailers and boats and stuff. And they're not really a problem for the ramp unless it's maybe a Saturday matinee, because their productions are at night. So it's a good use of the lot at night when it's empty anyway.
Will they maintain don't they maintain a little bit of parking on the west side though?
They have some parking on the west
Because the
side.
stage door is there, so for
Yes.
the actors and the people
And we
involved.
redid the alley for them to get around there too, but a lot of that west side parking was on the boat ramp site.
Right,
And then they had access through the site to get to their parking. But if you just looked at their land lease, it really doesn't have parking associated.
they know that.
And we know that too. That was just unfortunate many years ago when that was developed, so.
Yeah.
But we've always maintained some sort of an agreement with the theater and expect to do that.
It's a fabulous little place and everything we can do to.
But they're happy about it, and then the other developments that are in there, the marina behind us, those folks are very happy because, there's more opportunities to do things, and they're talking to the business owners in there. That Seminole Boat Ramp, it's not just to dump your boat in the water and run now. There's actually things to do other than get on your boat. We're going to have some park aspects there, businesses there, so.
Very good.
It's moving along, so I just like to report where where we had a case where, you know, that boat ramp could have been closed for a long time. Not a long time, but for weekends, you know, prolonged weekends, and we've never closed it. We only closed it temporarily when we had to put storm pipe under Seminole Street, when we actually opened up the street so you couldn't pass through there, or the days that we were paving. So we're very few days out of the, you know, 180 days that it could have been closed. And finally, the third one, I brought this up, put it on the agenda, this compressed natural gas for boats. And I put it in your agenda. There's a group out there, Blue Gas Marine, and this was part of your agenda packet, but they came in to talk to Clearwater Gas. This is an outfit that is looking for opportunities to build these portable compressed natural gas stations for boats. And they selected somewhere like Clearwater because of our fishing fleet and our marinas. We have the two here, and we're busy. We sell a lot of fuel. You know, whatever their scouting is, they figured we were a good fit for that. And we have a gas system here, so all the stars were aligned. But what they do is their market is to sell to the fishermen to retrofit their boats, and it's not to turn them into natural gas only, it's to have both, where they can do, you know, still maintain their fuel, and they add these kits to them. So they were asking us about, you know, if they could build a natural gas station at the marina. And, you know, that's something that would have to go through planning and development and permitting. What would it look like? Where would it go? How big would it be? What would would there be users? Who's paying for it? All things like that. So we listened to their pitch, and right now, I've never had one request, you know, do they sell natural gas for boats? I don't know if anybody has natural gas boats right now in Clearwater. And I was wondering if you guys had heard or talked to anybody that was thinking about getting their boats converted, or?
And it seemed to me the numbers, they were a little vague on what it would cost to convert a boat, and they mentioned that there's some kind of federal kickbacks that would be available for doing this upgrade, but they're not very specific about what they are and what the boat captain would have to go through to get it. And I mean, if you look, most people, if it's a $10,000 outlay, they'd have to be one of the charters, one of the big high volume ones, as opposed to, you know, my 30-foot boat.
Well, that's kind of the same takeaway I had, you know, before you came to us. You know, the city wouldn't be that interested unless our fleet was interested, and we had other, you know, users, you know, to come to me from wherever they were coming from, North Carolina, you know, to try to get a deal with the city. It was premature, I thought.
Like if they had gone to Captain Mike and said, let me meet your boat owners association and your marina and sell them on the idea, and they came to us, you know, boy, there'd be a motivating factor because they were all interested. Please.
Can I? Yeah.
Sure.
We've been
Sir,
querying
would you
on
step,
this.
sir,
Oh, yeah, come up, Mike.
Yeah, come.
the microphone?
I have my up.
We've been queried on this over the last 18 months or so. And I mean, I may be corrected, but I believe I read a short article on retrofitting for natural gas propulsion in National Fisherman magazine, I think. It was either National Fisherman or it might have been some other obscure periodical. But one of my takeaways from it, I was left uncertain if you could retrofit that for diesel reduction. Natural gas burns hotter, and diesel uses, our compression ratios, my God, are 18-to-1 compared to your car or your outboard motor, which is 6 or 7-to-1. So I was left uncertain about whether even our fleet, it would be applicable. And, you know, obviously, again, cost of retrofit and this, that, and the other. I mean, it's really interesting technology. I just don't know that it could be made as as an alternative, say, to number 2 grade diesel.
What percentage maybe of your voters organization down there would you say is diesel to gas would be?
Oh, diesel to gas is 99-to-1. We have one charter operator. Excuse me. Now we have 2. The Sugar Push. That's one. Gary Fulton would be the other.
So just two people in your whole.
Two out of the entire fleet that probably would immediately be able, and then, as you said, planning, development, permitting. At the other end, when you're taking passengers for hire, then you're going to get the MSO office involved, Marine Safety Office. Well, where do you put a tank in the boat? Where is it safely located? Are you going to blow everybody, to the moon? So there's a lot of bridges, that, that have to be crossed.
Well, and then
Thank
even putting something like that at the marina, I don't know if any of you have seen our compressed gas station over in Hercules.
Yes, at the airport.
And you saw what that skid looks like, and you've heard what that sound is like. So I asked him, I said, well, what would yours look like? Well, it would be skid mounted. Okay, well, skid mounted is pretty visible. And I know, that's why I said planning and development, we would have nothing skid mounted in the parking lot at the beach marina, I promise you that. It would have to be obscured, enclosed, silent, because these things are loud. So, and that would be the consideration, and he was kind of, well, we don't have anything, but we could do that, but ours are, whatnot. So it didn't seem like a perfect fit for the planning department, because I know how they would look at that. We have to consider the noise, what it looks like beach walk, all these elements that we have that, sometimes we think don't make sense when you want to do a project, but that's how you get a project built, is by meeting code and all these things.
You need some sort of probably mandated safety area around
Yes.
the slab to begin with too.
And it'd have to be landscaped, it'd have to be not visible, and it'd have to be close enough to the seawall, to get to the boats, and where would you fuel that? So there was a lot more than just the concept. It'd have to be worked through. But I just wanted to put it out there, since they are actively, courting marinas like ours, and like Mike said, he's reading about it, so there's a push out there. But I've never had a single boat captain or anybody recreational ask if it was ever to come to Clearwater.
All right. Very good. We have any old business at all?
No, I don't. Mike, do you have anything to report? No?
Finally got him to say a word. That's good.
I just have a question real
Go
quick.
ahead.
For the contractor that filed Chapter 11, what sort of financial review do you guys do on that? Do you have like a contractor package that they have to submit?
Yeah, and this was a subcontract.
Okay.
So it's a sub to the main contractor. So we have lesser, but yes, we do, when we award these things, they're awarded to, in this case, it was a construction manager at risk, one of our normal contractors, and then we use subs beyond there. So there's always exposure to
Is that primary? Is he responsible for the sub, or do you guys are?
In most cases, yes. Sometimes it's shared. In this instance, it was when the contractor built our wave attenuator, and then when we added on to the contract to build this gangway. It was an amendment to the contract. So they kind of got the job just because they were there already. So it was the wave attenuator was beautifully built and done and installed, and when this fabrication piece that we let the subcontractor subcontract out.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things. So yeah, it was unfortunate, but it happened. And if you ask what the value of that would be, on a big project like that, it was minuscule. It was a $20,000+ piece on a $600,000 project.
Okay.
It's just that it was the last small piece of the puzzle. You have a puzzle put together, and there's one piece you can't find. That's what this was.
Gotcha. Okay.
At the end. But it's frustrating because, the wave attenuator sits out there, and it was never designed to have access. It's supposed to be a breakwater. Well, we've designed a connection point to get you safely there, and they have to flex, and it has to be ADA, it has to have the slope. So there were all these things that there were a lot of places for error in this thing, and that's what happened. The connection points were off just by small angles, and it didn't fit. And then you could put it up higher onto the dock and modify it, but then your slope was too steep. So we couldn't have that. It had to be at the same thing, so it would be ADA. And that's why it got complicated. A simple thing like that just really blew up into a complicated problem.
Have any other? I've got a couple of items I'd like to bring up. I got this in the mail, my Clearwater. I don't know if anybody's read it. And I called the editor up. I noticed Clearwater Community Sailing Center isn't even mentioned in here. The marina, the fishing, nothing is in here. I said, how do you explain that? I can't. And that was the end of it. But this people who looked at this very nice magazine, covers everything else,
Yeah.
but marine and
The new
everything.
warning sign centers in there.
Yeah. Moccasin Lake and everything else, and
All
Chess and
libraries.
Bridge and everything. But I don't know, I left a message and I don't know. But I think that's something that we should follow through. The second item I got was to join the Sail Future campaign. I got this from the, are you aware of that? I saw your head bob. I didn't know. This is the group of people who clean the boats, my boats, Gulf Bay Marine. They clean the bottoms. They have formed a foundation to support the St. Petersburg Marina, and that they have the passion to help in that and fundraise. They're having a fundraiser in that. I'll give this to you if you want to.
I've never heard of that group.
I was amazed.
They clean people's boats for free, or?
The fellow who cleans Gulf Bay Marinas, the name of the fellow, he cleans the boats on a marina. And he has formed with other people an organization of participants in that, with cocktail party and that, to support the community. Our fundraising in order to supplement getting things done here for St. Petersburg. I thought that was different. There's nothing else.
Can I just ask one quick
Oh,
question?
yes, with Shakespeare.
Me personally, my own little personal self-promotion, if anybody wants to take a picture of this, I am appearing in several different portions of Shakespearean plays at Tarpon Arts up at the Tarpon Performing Arts Center about a month from today. We open October 12th, 2 weekends, and instead of like we did 2 years ago where we shoved all of Taming of the Shrew down everybody's throat, we're doing like the best parts of different plays. So there's comedies, there's of course tragedies, and from King Lear, I'm in King Lear, I'm not King Lear. I'm in A Winter's Tale, I am King Leontis, and I get to do Robin Puck and
God royalty next.
from Midsummer Night's Dream, but we're doing Romeo and Juliet, As You Like It, so I'm Richard III, so if you imagine like the best parts of Shakespeare all put into one, it's tampaarts.org, or I'll have this up here if you want to just snap, people can just snap in a picture of it, because my printer died while I was sick and I haven't found a substantive replacement yet.
Thank you, King.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
I just have one quick question I've just been curious about. It's very early in your process, I know, but just thinking about as you redo the beach marina, what are you going to do with boats and commercial boats and others that are there? Is there going to be some kind of stage process where some group has to leave for a period of time and come back, or what?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's a question that everybody has. You know, the first part of the marina redo is going to be a study to answer those questions, phasing, what we're going to do first. So I haven't done that yet, you know, but I'm going to plan that. But likely the demo of the marina will be done in stages. You know, probably along the seawall, which is going to affect, first part we're going to have to do is along the seawall, because we have to bring utilities to the seawall, fix the tiebacks, do the new cap. So we're going to be displacing the commercial folks first.
Yeah.
So I envision some temporary mooring platform, however that looks, where it's going to be, to do that in stages. How many stages, I don't know yet, but that's still yet to be determined.
Thank you.
So, And we're still trying to decide, you know, we're gonna do floating docks. That's our plan, but 100% floating docks, 80%, so that hasn't been determined yet either, you know. Floating docks might not work in every application, especially, for example, with our fuel dock. Is that gonna still be a fixed dock? Are some of these larger vessels, does a floating dock work for them for loading and unloading? So that's where this preliminary study, if you will, we have to have some design criteria. When this project goes out to bid, it's going to be a design build with specific needs and wants, and that's what the study will bring to light. So when we put it out on the street, we're going to want a marina. Our estimates are that these are likely configurations. These are the likely sizes of slips we need. This is our depths of our water. This area needs dredging. You know, there's going to be all those kind of things that are going to come to play, and then it's the design build team to come to us and design it in stages, construct it in stages, and stuff like that. So the biggest thing is the first part will be a study. We couldn't just put this out to bid or start designing it without any real plan.
All right, thanks.
So and that'll be a year of that study, and that's where all the stakeholder information will come in. All of these boat captains, there will be representatives from the various users and stuff, because they're the ones that are on these docks every day. We look at them every day, but we need to make sure that we're not forgetting anybody's needs. Not everybody's going to get what they want. Obviously, that will never happen, but people are going to get what they need, and it's all going to be functional and working and so forth.
Very good. I hear a motion that we adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Good. All in favor, aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Over. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Captain.
Well, I'll take
Yeah.
a shot of your. I'll take a shot of that.
Oh,
Make sure you have that.
Shame you don't know
You-
more
you
about
want
fishing,
this?
Captain.
I have one.
Oh, good.
Our director, Dio
You're a
Bryan,
wealth
has
of-
been
you're a
directing
wealth of
Shakespeare
information,
for
obviously.
44 years.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed with your opportunity to be in this play.
He's going to be Romeo.
I've been, no.
I can't envision Romeo, but I mean,
They found somebody older to play the Romeo's father, but
and right on horse as well.
well, I've been doing it for 30 years, so it's you
Good Lord.
got to stay. I've performed about 3 years ago at Francis Wilson,
No kidding.
so Largo Cultural Center. I've only done about 10 plays in the 26 years I've been in Florida. I did like 6 plays the year before I left Pennsylvania.
Oh, my.
The famous
This is not
Erie
your first rodeo.
Erie Playhouse. No. I or D, who's been at it for 40 years.
What's the website?
Tarponarts.org.
Hey, Mike, good job. Thank you. And I'll see you back at home. He is, what's Mike's phone?
Okay. Tampa, I got
You got a picture phone?
Hook and anchor.
And there's the Tarpon Arts. It's just .org. I don't think she put the website on there.
That, you can send me a picture of it.
I'll scan it.
Okay, you can just scan it, or I can just take a picture.
it should be good.
Oh, it will be.
Go on, buddy.
Hopefully I'll be good too.
How long have you been at Thespian?
19